The crypto markets are in dire straits right now. And you're probably thinking, wow, this guy's crazy. He's making like a best 5 crypto to buy now while the markets are crashing, while I've got all the momentum against me and while things are looking absolutely terrible. Well, it's a good time, I think, for contrarian mindset investors to be looking at potential dollar cost average opportunities in the market. Now, liquidity kings, smart money will be scooping up most likely this dip, which does present a good opportunity for people to get into their favorite altcoins at 30, 40, 50, maybe even 60% discount. So let's talk about where we are in the markets. Let's also talk about why this correction is pretty normal. We have flipped into a fearful mindset here. So the overall retail market is feeling a little bit of fear, but this isn't something I would worry about long term. Also want to put it out there, we're still heavily in a Bitcoin season, so altcoins are indeed sleeping at the moment. And of course, you can see the sentimental analysis here. We are sitting on fear. So fear in a bull market is where a lot of people can make a large chunk of money. Of course, you don't know how high it's going to pump. It could just be a dead cat bounce afterwards. It depends how long term you're looking to play in this kind of game. Now, I want to firstly just kind of reiterate the fact that what we've seen for Bitcoin over the last few days, it's absolutely nothing. It's not worth getting in a panic about because it's literally a 27% correction. And I've spoken about it many times. If you just look at the historical data, look at what's happened before these big corrections, we had 55% over here. We had 63% over here in 2020. Then we had an even bigger one, 85% correction once upon a time. Of course, that was the end of that particular bull market, but you can see this one over here was an 86% correction in 2015. So Bitcoin is very well known to correct quite heavily. I suppose in modern times a correction of 50, 60, 70% would be quite abnormal, but here's another example of Bitcoin in 2011 correcting 93% and then ripping up colossal amounts. It went from like $2 up to $1,000+. But you can see multiple times Bitcoin corrects hard. And for the current cycle that we are in, we've not seen any major 30, 40, 50% correction. So I want to talk about the way that this could occur. We've had firstly a 26% correction, or about 27%. We got down to that 51k support region. We could still come down lower to 44k, which would reflect a 40% correction. And at worst case scenario, we could still come down to 45%, which would give a real big buying opportunity of around $40,000 for Bitcoin. You can see here on the weekly time frame on the relative strength index for Bitcoin, we're also nowhere near the 30 RSI. We don't really want to go close to that 30 RSI. But seeing exactly where we are, we're on the lower threshold now. We're at 44 on the weekly RSI. We're probably getting close to being oversold on the daily. We are pretty much oversold. The last time Bitcoin was oversold on the daily was August 2023. So we've not been at this particular range for a very long time. You can actually see 317 days was the last time we were in this oversold area for Bitcoin. So lots of high risk, high reward takers will be buying this particular dip. If you do feel like it's a good chance to get in at a lower price, although lower prices could still happen around the corner, this could indeed be an area of interest. If you are doing any sort of trading, leverage trading, or just simply holding, make sure you use KSEX, no KYC exchange. Link is down below where you can sign up from America or even Canada or across the whole entire world. KYC friendly, you don't need to give up data and you can still withdraw Bitcoin without having to do the KYC. So first coin in this video is going to be, and if you haven't subscribed already and you want to hit your crypto goals, please do so already. First coin will be Notcoin. Going to talk about this because Notcoin was recently trading at 0.028, so it's reflected like a 70% correction, and it's still got a $1 billion market cap. It hit $3 billion, holding quite well at the moment. If we look at Notcoin, it's still very much... Oh, that happens every now and then, and I can never get it back. So we saw a teaser. It's probably going to be a play to earn coin, but looking at Notcoin, of course, it's had a huge pump to the upside from sort of its inception over here. Came up, ripped a 5x, and now we can see that slight corrective phase that we are in. It's sitting around the 0.786 Fibonacci zone, and just last night I had a reminder to actually buy into Notcoin at around sort of midnight, and it was at this particular level here at the 0.009. It's reflected 10% gains, and I think this is a good area of interest. It's corrected now 70%, and if it does go much lower, it's really crazy to see this coin of this sort of fundamental value go that much lower. On the daily, we've gone from euphoric RSI levels down to 33, Again, if you're buying fear, it does provide more upside opportunity because you can make a 2x now by not having to go to the all-time high. You could actually get a 2x from this current price level by just going to 0.018. You wouldn't have to wait for the major resistance. You could get in at this lower level, ride a 2x and exit at a resistance range rather than having to wait for all-time highs, which is usually the worst case scenario. You don't want to be waiting for all-time highs in order to get your precious money back. So Notcoin, coin number one. I think it could still be a good one to potentially buy during this particular dip. Coin number two will be Jasm, Japan's Bitcoin. So I think this is an important one to also consider, considering this thing was priced in quite high as of recent. $2 billion, it's down 50%, tons of fundamental value for Japan's Bitcoin. That's how it's kind of compared over here. So I do want to also talk about this one right here. Look at it. You can see it had a great ride from late 2023 and overall it's still looking strong. From late 2023 it was sitting at like 0.003, so it's done like a 7x. It's gone up, up and up, and it's now back to the ranges of kind of early 2024 where it consolidated for a long period of time. If you were bullish on Jasm at 0.04, why would you not be bullish at 0.021 just because there is a slight correction in the markets? Now of course we don't know how high it can go, but if you were considering getting in at the euphoric level when the markets were greedy, now you can potentially get in at a lower price and get more Jasm tokens for each dollar that you do spend. So it's something to also bear in mind and consider. Could be worthwhile looking at. Jasm MGD, 120k followers on Twitter. Cool coin, and you can see they're still pushing no matter what, regardless of the sentiment of the market. They are still pushing really, really hard here. Also, make sure to check out my Patreon group down below if you want to unlock those VIP signals to grow your crypto portfolio. Space is running out and we are changing lives every single day. Coin number three will be Pepe, meme coin. $3.53 billion market cap. So Pepe is an interesting one again. Topped out at 6.97. So you're down about 50%, but you can actually see with the price here, it's sitting quite respectable. It's still sitting in a range that it was at earlier in 2024 before the main meme season really picked up, but it's not in a critical support region. It's not really showing any major threats of dumping back down to the sort of low sevens or adding another zero onto the price tag. You can see also Pepe reposted recently Happy Independence Day US users, and they're doing competitions and they're still driving volume to the project and getting people to talk about Pepe token. Really think this is still one of the best meme coins that you can buy in the markets of the higher market cap tier. And I still think Pepe could potentially do a 2, 3, or maybe even 5x by the end of the bull run. Remember, nothing in this video is financial advice. Coin number four will be Seoin. Absolutely with Seoin. It's had a great history already this coming sort of bull run so far. It hit $1.11. It's now to 0.27. So that is a massive, massive correction over here. So we can see just looking at this, the overall price has probably corrected like 70%, which is kind of more than you'd ideally want. But the DCA phase was actually for me at 36 cents. So that's when I started to dollar cost average it back in. But you can see for me, if say comes down to 0.20 or 0.14, I'll be dollar cost averaging even more to really lower my average entry price at these certain ranges. So it's a big possibility that it could still come down, but it wouldn't look too good on the charts that, if this coin did come down to entry point 3, it would have corrected 87%. But still, you're getting probably 3 times the amount of Sei coins if you were to buy them now, as opposed to back up here. And it's still a coin with insane fundamental and utility. So it's a big, big parallel blockchain, accelerating the future, pushing the boundaries of blockchain technology. Massive transaction per second, huge transaction, great transaction time to finality, and this is one of those cool layer 1 and 2 infrastructure tokens that I think could seriously have a massive, massive stamp on the industry in the future. Next one is Sucoin, 0.63 at the moment, and it's similar to Sei, where it had a really big price tag back in the day at $2. It's now 63 cents, so it has basically done the same thing. It's corrected like 70% if I had to take a guess. So 73% correction here. Last time around, it did trade in a falling wedge. You can see it then broke out and did a 487% pump to the upside. This time around, falling wedge pattern, but it has actually lost support. Quickly flipping back to Sei, actually, I don't want to confuse you guys too much, but you can also see on Sei, the weekly RSI is hovering down below nearly the oversold region, but on the daily, it literally is oversold. So that could also be a bullish entry point. And going back to the RSI, it's taken 181 days to get, say, back to this current threshold. So again, going to Sucoin, applying the same logic. If we look at the weekly, it's getting close to being oversold on the weekly. But if we look at the daily, it is in fact very, very oversold. The last time it was this oversold was April 2024, May 2024. It did have quite a long window of having a bull run, like a real strong rally in this region here, which also lasted quite a while. You can actually see this one lasted 152 days of really nice bullish price action for this token, and now we're sort of in these sub regions. So it makes more sense to buy the fear, and then when the coins do pump again and it goes back into like a higher RSI, which is where the markets are greedy again, that's when you can start taking your profits around these regions. So buy the fear, sell the greed. It's more of a safe way to play in the markets because there's not much more downside potential for these coins. You can't really squeeze that much more downside out. And the further it goes down, the more room you've then got for it to pump again as the markets flip back to a more greedy environment, because we're not going to be in fear for that long. It might be 2 or 3 months, of course, all subjective, but if history plays out the same way, then I think that's exactly how it could go down. So Seoin looking really pretty tasty as well from these current levels on the Fibonacci. You can see it's now down to 0.786 and below. 0.62 is potentially a steal for this particular ecosystem. So delivers the benefits of Web3 with the ease of Web2. So it could be worth checking out that as well. So there's 5 coins that you can potentially enjoy during the dip. There's plenty more, to be honest. And one simple thing you can do actually is just look at the 24-hour time frame. What has corrected massively over 24 hours? Or look at the 7-day and look through those 7-day coins and find the coins that you were previously bullish on, or still are long-term bullish on. Which coins are you seeing in a 20-30% discount right now? And then you can start sort of adding a bit of liquidity. Not all in 100% allocations, but you can start maybe buying a chunk of each. And then maybe if it goes down again in price, you can start buying a chunk again. If it goes down again in price, you can start buying a chunk again. It is like trying to catch a falling knife, which is very risky. That's why I wouldn't advise chucking 100% of any liquidity in, because the markets could still fold another 20 or 30%. Bitcoin as well, summer months, June, July, are pretty boring most of the time. Usually always pretty red, even though the last Julys actually have been quite nice. But right now we're not seeing that reflected. So fingers crossed we'll see the markets pick up nicely. And I think that's a wrap of this video. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you're new here. We are making content as much as possible, regardless of the sentiment of the market, whether it's bullish or not. We're here to try and help you guys grow, whether it's bearish, whether people are watching or not. I know people clock out during this time, and many other influencers will be clocking out and going on holiday and stuff, but we're still here pushing. So see you soon, guys. Stay crypto safe, and remember, like this video, not financial advice. See you soon.